Now we are going to look at the front pages of the national dailies, and as usual, we'll start with the Daily Trust newspaper. Here, the major story, it's about the military juntas, in the West African or even and also the African, countries in general. So it says Niger Republic junta ready to release Bazoum. That's after a year plus, holding the former democratically elected president. The writers here are saying in dilemma where to keep him, and that's according to them because there is always a fear of, when he is released, things could bring a bit of war, between the people of Bazoum and the military. Now, why Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have snubbed ECOWAS readmission offer? I would want to, hear that. So, if you want that, of course, you can pick this Daily Trust newspaper to get the details of all of this. And it says Foreign Ministry mom. Now, this major story you'll find on page 4 of the newspaper. Now, below the headlines there, it says hardship. There is nothing much anyone can do. That's according to the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, is saying this is something that it's happening. So no one, there is nothing to be done, considering the present administration keeps blaming, this situation happening on the former administration. So right now, I think this is like his own daggers pointing out and say, oh, you can't do anything about curbing this hardship. Well, beside that, we see provide land for grazing. Tinubu tells the governors. Now, you find that on page 6. This could be the reply to them on, their own appeal for creating more crop production, aiding farmers to do that. Muslims observe fast amid the heat wave, high cost of living, and power outage. You find that on page 5. People are having, the most stressful Ramadan this in the whole of Nigeria's history. At the bottom there, we see alleged budget padding. Ningi faces suspension, disowned by Barrow and other northern senators. I stand by my claims. That's according to the Bauchi senator. That's been a back and forth of what is happening based on politics, now in the Senate. And it's really disheartening considering Nigerians are really, suffering, facing economic hardship. This is not the time for politics. It's the time to come together and do the needful. All right, these are the stories that you would find on the Daily Trust newspaper. Now let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. Okay, I think that was just the Vanguard newspaper. But before I take the Vanguard newspaper, there is President Tinubu renews hope for oil and gas sector on the Daily Trust with bold directives. Now, if you want the details of that, of course, you would get it on the page. So let's move on to the Vanguard. At the top of the page there, it says the energy crisis. The federal government orders NERC to revoke licenses of non-performing discos. Edo Guba stakeholders seek urgent resolution of Obaseki and Shaibu's feud. UBA African Guarantee Fund partner on $100 million loan support for African small and medium enterprises. Ramadan, Abbas governors and OB others urge unity and prayers for Nigeria. The lead story says sub-regional forces working to destabilize Nigeria. That's according to the presidency. It says go after sponsors of terror. Afenifera charges Tinubu. ECOWAS experts move against terror financing and money laundering. I hid in a shrub like a snake to escape from abductors. That's according to Kuriga student. Bandits demand 40 trillion naira ransom for 16 abducted Kaduna residents. The demands just keep getting louder and bigger. All right, these are the stories that you'd find on the Vanguard newspaper today. Let's take a look at the Tribune newspaper there. From the top, it says bandits invade Plateau Market and kill 7. 4 days after abduction of our children, kidnappers yet to make contact. That's according to parents. How I managed to escape. That's according to one pupil who escaped. Alleged budget padding, Northern senators disown Ningi as crack widens. 3.7 trillion naira not traced in budget. That's according to Ningi. He's insisting on that. Arrest, charge Ningi for breach of peace. That's according to Jimo Ibrahim. You find the major story on page 2. Kudos knocks as Oshun appoints new Owa of Igbajo. Court affirms Barua as NURTW president and declares Agbede-led caretaker committee illegal. Service year elongation bill, the NAS staff members take Akpabio and the speaker and others to industrial court. Senate inaugurates about 17-man committee to probe Buhari's 22.7 trillion naira ways and means and core borrowers program. The state should pay wage award now. That's according to Tinubu. Okay. And the UK bans overseas health workers from bringing their dependents. Now, these are some of the stories that you would find on the Tribune, Nigerian Tribune today. All right, let's take a look at the leadership. At the top of the page, it says, I am ready to dialogue with bandits if, he's given his condition. This is from Sheikh Gumi. There's always been a bit of controversy with his relationship with, the bandits camp, based on him making efforts to, be an intermediate, between the bandits and the federal government. It's all about peacekeeping. All right. So beside that, we see Ramadan, 250,000 Zamfara households benefit from Yari's feeding initiative. All right, below the headlines there, we see Tinubu pledges economic opportunities in livestock sector. 3 trillion naira budget padding. More northern senators tackle Ningi. 10 years after bandit attacks dent the Safe Schools scheme. Yes, we prevented over 61 planned attacks on school. That's according to NSCDC. Okay. We are not a lead agency, but that's according to defense. If you want to get a grip on what the defense is saying, you have to pick the leadership on that one. Police plan special protection squad. Community leader says the bandits demanding 40 trillion naira as ransom for 16 Kaduna residents. You find all of that on page 4. Calls for more prayers, lower prices, and herald Ramadan. Ex-ACF chair Gabriel Aduku dies at 80. A sad one there. UBA gets about $100 million fund backing for women-led SMEs. We do hope that this, if at all, this fund, I don't know if it's gonna come as a loan or a grant, but either way, I just hope it gets to the necessary people that needs this empowerment. All right, and with that, of course, we head on to look at the front pages, and review them. And we have in the studio, as usual, every Tuesday, Dr. Theophilus Abba, and he is the program director of Daily Trust Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, let's start. We seem to have a lot of things happening. Before we head on to this major story, I wanted to talk about, this Senate issues that has been happening, the alleged budget padding. I want to get your take on it. Right now, Ningi is facing suspension. And based on what some are saying, that this is a political punch, like it's from the opposition party attacking the ruling party, while others are saying he might have a point of what is exactly going on. So what is your take on this?
Well, the first impression I had when I heard that Ningi was pointing at 3 trillion naira padding of the budget was to say the National Assembly did not do its job. Because the National Assembly was supposed to look at the budget, look at even justifications for some of the allocations, to know whether, there should be priorities. You understand? But we now have a situation whereby there was this, rush in passing the budget to make sure that it was signed on the first day of January 2024. And now somebody is coming up to say there was a fallow 3 trillion, which is not a small amount of money. And I was thinking that the appropriation committee, ought to have detected it, the chairman or the committees of the various sectors. Because if you have the agri committee, you have the, CBN committee, every other committee must have gone through the budget before they appended their signature to them and say, okay, let it go. Now, it is very apparent that the work that was done was wishy-washy. Even though a lot of persons have argued with Ningi to say, well, what he's saying is not true. But I am expecting that if Ningi actually, if he had actually discovered those things, he should be ready to present them. That look, so line item, because he was saying that there was they were not meant for anything. It was just, put in those sections of the budget, maybe for some persons to pull out. Now, if this is the time for him to sit down and show us the evidence, it's okay. This are so area. This was also what was put there. There's no project for it. This area, the project was supposed to be 10 naira. It was hiked to 2 and so billions or trillions or whatsoever. Those are the things that we expect him to come out with. But we know previously that we have always had a wrong process of making our budget. Now, the process of creating a budget is this. First of all, the budget office will ask every sector, to say, okay, let us know what your priorities are. Tell us what you want, and we expect that, the National Assembly should be carried along at that stage.
Right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning, when you are deciding what to put in the budget. You will say education, what are your priorities? What do we need to include as capital budget? What is the usual salary that we are paying? What are the recurrent expenditure? What are the changes that have taken place? Now, if the National Assembly were carried along to say, okay, you, the National Assembly members, let us know your priorities. And then these things are built into the budget before they are taken to the National Assembly for verification and approval. Then some of the things that Ningi is talking about will not come up. Because we keep hearing that, some National Assembly members they will have hundreds of items, they will just infuse them anywhere they want and say, well, we have improved this to be done. We thought that, this money allocated to this is not enough. We thought that this project was, and you hear about electricity project going to agriculture, some going to women affairs, and all sorts of things are put into the budget.
Doctor, could it be with all of this happening, it's because Nigerians don't really pay attention when it comes to the budgeting details. Immediately it goes and the National Assembly say we approve, and we don't do follow-up. Like, should the civil society maybe push in to get this kinds of information for Nigerians? Well,
there is a whole lot of secrecy around budget preparation, which should not be so. And many people are not literate when we talk about budget preparation. Many people are ignorant. We've had some society organizations that have attempted to work, on the budget to say, okay, let's ensure they are transparent. But then the process, even the civil society organizations are supposed to be carried along. Before you put the budget together, you're supposed to call them and say, look, this is what we are working on. What do you think? But right now, it is not like that. I want to tell you something. I was working on the 2024 budget, and I said, okay, I wanted this budget in the Excel format. If it's in the Excel format, then we are able to analyze the budget. Let's have it in Excel format. It's not so. The budget is not in the format that you can work with.
It'll be so easy to understand.
So you now need to convert them from Excel to, from the format it is now, maybe OCR, to Excel to be able to analyze or to see what is there. So the process is made difficult, and it's done deliberately. Other organizations internationally, when they have any document that has to do with financial record or plans, they present them with, they put Excel format. Some of you make it available in PDF, then they'll give you the Excel format in case you want to do some work on that document. Okay. But in Nigeria, it is kept, in a way that people who want to challenge the system will not have access to it, and then you begin to hear things like this.
It's really a really sad situation. We hope the truth prevails from all of this. All right, let's move on to security matters, Doctor. Last week we saw the back-to-back kidnapping happening, on schools, in the northern part of Nigeria. And then right now we are hearing that these people are even asking for about 40 trillion just for 16, not the rest, which we have over right now. I think we have over 700,000 people that have been kidnapped in just a period of 1 week. So this 40 trillion, it sounded like Nigeria's budget. So how do you exactly? You see. So what at this point, what do you think needs to be done? Because it's becoming, and now this one is saying it's your fault. It's your fault. We saw the presidency coming out to say, okay, there is saboteurs, people sponsoring financially this banditry and all that on the state level. So what is your take on all of this crisis that we're deep in?
Well, there is some contradictions, are coming up. I remember about 2 weeks ago, somebody in Borno State, somebody close to government said and that 95% of the violent Boko Haram group had been eliminated or silenced or had repented. So we took it for granted that if 95% had already been eliminated, then we should not have that kind of large-scale abduction that took place at the IDP camp. At the IDP, the abduction of these young women who went to the forest to, but you see, but the fact is that the security arrangement that we have made is not in line with the reality on ground.
Speaking on security, sorry, let me interrupt on that one, Doctor. The NSCDC, which people were pointing fingers at, saying, but you are supposed to protect national assets and all of that, even talking on the electricity vandalization and of course the students. They're saying that they have blocked about 63 attempts of kidnapping, and even at that we are seeing this log of chunk load of abduction. Do you think they're doing enough?
Well, if they have blocked about 63 attempts, then they made an effort. But then what happened in Kaduna, and I think Sokoto points to one issue, and that is the fact that we are laid back. I remember when the Safe School Initiative came up, one of the objectives was to say, okay, let us fence all schools. You understand? And I remember the center, the office that was supposed to manage it, would say, okay, if you are an institution, secondary school in Nigeria, and you want your school to be fenced, let us know. But the school that was where students were kidnapped in Kaduna, it was not fenced. Yes. And I tried to make some inquiries. Most of the schools in rural areas in Kaduna where banditry is prevalent, they are not fenced. So
whose fault is it? Should the school even need to reach out to the federal government or state government to say we need?
It's a World Bank sponsored project, and if it's a sponsored project, you have to be captured, in the budget, to be able to benefit. It's not like the World Bank will just begin to go from school to school and say, oh, I will fence this. No, you have to come and say, I want my school, this school to be fenced. But Doctor,
this is where the states and the federal government, local chairmen should work in, because you will agree with me that perhaps some of these local, village schools were not even aware, we're not really sensitized on this.
No, but you have the local government education authority and we have the Ministry of Education at the state level, because the Safe School Initiative was working hand in hand with the Ministry of Education. You see, the problem is that we keep assuming things in this country. Somebody will say, oh, it's only Borno girls that can be kidnapped. You understand? It's only Borno State that can happen. They happen to you. So it's only Yobe State that can happen. Yes. It's okay. It cannot happen in there. Then it happened in Ekiti. Yes. So it's only in Ekiti that can happen. Then it's happening in Kaduna. So it's only in Kaduna. Oh, it's a northern problem. So let me tell you, see, if we say we should fence schools, it should be a standard across the country. Whether there are bandits in the state or no bandits, whether you have terrorists in that state or it should be a uniform thing. And then the fact that students were kidnapped in Kaduna should tell the schools in Akwa Ibom, in Cross River, in other places where you think notice like cannot happen, that this could happen. You understand? Because how did they do it? They said they got there at 8 a.m. in the morning. And they started, catching these boys, capturing them, putting them on motorcycles, putting them in vehicles, and there was no help.
There wasn't.
So let me tell you, if you go to the typical village, a typical village school in Nigeria, if bandits enter these schools and begin to kidnap you, no policeman will come.
Indeed.
And the vigilantes don't have the capacity to resist them.
They couldn't.
So this, if it happened in Kaduna, don't think that you are safe because you are in Lagos. It could happen in Lagos.
So Nigeria should basically wake up.
So you see, it's something that if we want to say, okay, let's fence all schools, let us fence all schools. You know, and then you see, the problem is that you say they went into the forest, and so that's the end of the story. Who are the owners of the forest? The forest belongs to Nigeria, and for about 15 years now, forest has been where bandits and terrorists have had an upper hand. And what have we done about, sweeping them away from the forest?
Doctor. One of the things that we heard was the security agency saying they are following the trail. These are people that they are not running. Carrying almost 300 people,
yes.
And then trailing them is taking forever.
Yes.
You know, it's looking like something is wrong somewhere. But anyways, Doctor, I want to get your thoughts. Based on time, because of time, we don't have much time left on this Niger Republic junta ready to release the Bazoum. What is your take? And plus, you know, them snubbing the ECOWAS even after removing the sanctions. Nothing has been heard from the 3 countries that have, announced their exit from the ECOWAS. Okay,
the issue is, well, if they are ready to release the former president, well, it's one of the demands that are made by ECOWAS to say, look, release this man, you know, and they conduct elections. So, it's a good thing that they want to release him. I think the major issue from the story is that they don't even know where to take him to. They want him to go on exile. Now, but you say he doesn't want to go on exile from the report. You say, he wants to stay in Nigerian Republic. And I think they think it's a threat. So, it's a good development that they want to release him from prison. I think he could have some health issues. So if they release him, he will take care of himself. But then the junta will need to reach out to other countries. If they think that Nigeria can accommodate him, they should reach out to the Nigerian government. If it's the French, they should reach out to the French government. But what they have done, which is totally bad, is that they have severe relations with some of these candidates that can accept it. So they are actually in a dilemma. Because if you don't reach out to Nigeria, you don't reach out to France, you don't reach out to any of the ECOWAS country where he could go, then it means that you have to, do it in his own terms. You cannot take him from Niger Republic and fly him to just anywhere. You must agree. Then when they say that ECOWAS has not assisted them, they keep talking about the attack by terrorists. That when terrorists attack them, the ECOWAS was not seen to be. But then these countries were part of ECOWAS. It's not like ECOWAS is another institution that has been there and then many ECOWAS countries are facing the same problem. Nigeria is still facing a worse situation.
Indeed.
You understand? Okay. So if you are talking about ECOWAS ECOWAS is not helping us, you are actually abdicating a responsibility because you are supposed to be part of ECOWAS.
In order to assist each other.
In order to assist to come up with ideas.
Doctor, we'll just have to wait and see how this whole Niger issue, envelop or develop. We'll have to see how it works. Thank you so much, Dr. Theophilus Abba, for joining us to dissect front pages. Appreciate your time as always.
Thank you very much.
Of course. And with that, of course, we have come to the end of Daybreak on Trust Television. If you missed the show, then do catch us via our social media platform. Join our YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Please do stick around. At the top of the hour, Adeni Ajishafe will bring you 360 Sport. Have a lovely day.